Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live. Hoping you're doing all doing fantastic, ladies and gentlemen, because there's people who aren't. The Hurricane Melissa, we'll talk about it. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Our goal is to promote God, family, and country, and to protect life, liberty, and property. To do so on your radio and TV and the traditions of our founders, rejecting revolution unless it's a Jesus revolution, and following the Prince of Peace. That's who we are. It's all about God, family, and country, and the protection of life, liberty, and property. Oh, my heavens. We'll talk about the hurricane. We'll talk about SNAP. Yeah, we'll talk about a lawsuit going on by 25 states. We'll talk about a lawsuit by the state of Texas. Let's see. We'll talk about Jon Stewart's predictions. We'll talk about Bill Gates literally reverses course. Many are saying he didn't, but I think he did. Trump's $20 billion bonanza. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the national debt rockets past $38 trillion. We'll talk about 75% of federal spending, where it comes from and what to do about it as we talk about the government shutdown. Trump awards Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk. You say that's a while ago, right? But I got some topics to discuss related to that. Shame on the Donald. George Santos pardon. We'll get to that. Voice of America. In other words, government propaganda broadcasting around the world. We'll get to that. Sunny Hostin. Oh, man. She says she had to bring her son to the cops. We'll talk about that. We're just getting started. How's that, ladies and gentlemen? Back to the hurricane. What a sad tale we're experiencing now. They say it's the storm of the century. And when I read the details and see, just watch this first, then I'll talk about it. Hurricane Melissa. Brutal, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. Oh, boy. Hurricane Melissa makes landfall on Jamaica's southwestern coast near New Hope. They call it a Category 5 hurricane with winds of up to 185 miles per hour, ladies and gentlemen. The National Hurricane Center reported that Melissa is delivering, listen, 15 to 30 inches of rain across Jamaica, with up to 40 inches of rain possible in what they call isolated areas. Additionally, southern Hispaniola is expected to receive 6 to 8 inches of rain, with local maximum of up to 12 inches through Wednesday. So that's more rain on top of the rain we already talked about. The hurricane has already caused catastrophic damage, flash flooding, numerous landslides. It is disaster, my friends. And so what I want to say is you're going to see governments around the world trying to steal my tax dollars for a big old bailout to Jamaica. Now, let me be very, very clear about my stance on this. I absolutely 100% support kindness, love, assistance for the Jamaicans. It's a horrible, sad tragedy. And it's, some would say it's an act of God. Some would say it's just nature doing its thing. Whatever the cause, I don't care. It's disaster. And our neighbors, our fellow travelers on this earth, our brothers and sisters, God's children, are in harm's way. And I support 1,000% doing everything within our power to help them. But let me tell you what I do not. Let me say that again. Let me tell you what I do not support. Government stealing my money to gallivant around the world and pretend that they're charitable. Stealing my money at the point of a government virtual gun, a figurative gun, does not smack of charity to me. It smacks of theft. Thou shalt not steal. The general government has no authority to take any of our money and give it to anyone in a redistribution of wealth, no matter how just the cause may be. You can say, oh, our cause is just, Sam. You may be right. But when our national debt rockets past 38 trillion, when we're starting to have economic crises at home, it's not time to take my money. It's not time to take my money. Okay? It never is. And when this was brought up to Davy Crockett back in the day, the farmer said, you know what? It's not yours to give. And that is the quintessential point here that I want to highlight. It is not government's to give. It's our money. It's my money. It's my family's money. And to decide that you have a better cause for it, whether your cause is just or not, is wrong. That's not the American way. And so I support 1,000% support of the Jamaicans. They are in a serious situation. When Hurricane Melissa made landfall, disaster, 185 mile an hour winds. I don't even know how to comprehend that kind of, storm. And the lingering, I don't know what you want to call it, storm system, and the amount of rain, 15 to 30 inches of rain with up to 40 inches in some places. I mean, that is just that's just, I don't even know how to respond. But the reason that I bring this up is because it's important that we, the most charitable people on the planet, citizens of the United States of America, we do need to be kind and reach out and provide support. But you know where that humanitarian service, love, kindness, charity, I use the word charity. That means you volunteer freely your resources to help another, whether it's love, support, kindness, bearing one another's burdens. That's spiritual, physical, emotional, all the above. Amen. I support it 100%, and we should do it. So if you want to get the Red Cross or private organizations to help, you want to get churches, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been one huge organization that's helped a ton around the world and continues to partner with many people and do so. I support it 1,000%. I'll even be willing to donate some of my money to help out the poor people in Jamaica. So our prayers are with them first, because I think the most important thing we can give them is prayer. The second most important thing we can give them, in my humble opinion, is that voluntary support. Real, true, honest charity. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength. Love thy neighbor as thyself. The two great commandments. And when you think about that, really, the two great commandments have foundation, I should say, in the other 10. The first 4 are all about God. The rest are about your neighbor, right? So the two great commandments have a thread through the 10 commandments. That's really important to learn and understand. But I don't want government giving my money to anybody. And they will say, Sam, that just means you have a horrible heart. You're not. No, I want real charity happening. I want it to be in people's hearts. I want the Christian edicts to be true. We will at baptism take on discipleship of Jesus Christ, meaning follow his example. And what he would do is he'd want us to bring relief and kindness and love and service and support, bear one another's burdens is what we learn at baptism, right? That's for all Christians, right? And so I really advocate for that. Why do I spend so much time on that, you might ask? Well, because our national debt rockets past $38 trillion. You know what? Government doesn't have any ability to do any of that. Government needs to find how to dig itself out of its own hole that it's created by too much socialism, too much fascism, too much redistribution of wealth. We've got enough of that. Let's change course and follow the founding fathers' viewpoint, which is the general government has a very limited, very powerful, but very limited, delegated, enumerated authority and responsibilities. Okay? It's very simple. And when the government shutdown hits day 28, which is just done, you kind of go, wow, what on earth are we going to do with this? Answer, I think that Mike Johnson is digging a hole that he'll never get out of. He thinks he's following Trump and holding the hard line, but shutting down government, completely doing what he's doing is disaster. It will backfire. We need to open the government soon. Why? Because it costs more money with it closed, they claim. That's a disaster in the making for sure. So anyway, our prayers are that we can open the government, but I would only want to open the proper role of limited constitutional government, right? That's important to understand. But now Trump is warning that SNAP benefits will end. Think about that. SNAP benefits will end. and we'll get into this next segment, 25 states sued the government over SNAP and the shutdown. But Trump says, hey, SNAP benefits will end. You know what? I support that. You say, Sam, what about the people who... That's right. Now, the American Christians, the American people with their charitable hearts, they're the greatest charitable givers the world has ever known. We need to step up, and we have a dilemma. Who do we help? Do we help the folks in Jamaica? Do we help the people in America? Fair, open question, is it not? How about if we trust in God and help both of them? What do you say?
Now, Mr. and Mrs. Sir Galahad, what seems to be the problem?
Well, it's just not working.
She's been very unrealistic.
Really?
Ever since he rescued me from the dragon, we've been drifting apart.
That's not true.
We were supposed to live happily ever after.
Now, this isn't a fairy tale.
At first he was gallant and chivalrous, opening doors for me, holding my chair, taking my arm.
All right, I'm not as young as I used to
He
be.
simply isn't the man who swept me off my feet.
Well, you're not as young as you used to be.
Mr. Sir Galahad, maybe if you started by just holding Mrs. Sir Galahad's hand when you're together.
Really?
Yes, try it.
Okay.
All right.
Go on, take your hand. Careful, little oil.
Marriage. You're never too far apart when you're still holding hands. From your neighbors, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Now, look into each other's eyes. That's right. Raise your visor.
Oh, they're blue, dear.
For more tips on strengthening your marriage, visit family.mormon.org.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement, how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm issuing an open opportunity, an open challenge, if you will, and that is the people of Jamaica need tremendous support. I don't disagree with that one bit. If you got hit with 185-mile-an-hour winds and you are facing this idea that you're going to have, 15 to 30 inches? 15 to 30 inches and 40 inches elsewhere. I mean, you are in for just a disaster. I pray that people can stay alive in this horrible situation. But at the same time, I'm issuing a challenge to every one of us. Can we help the people of Jamaica? And with our debt going above $38 trillion. And now the government shutdown hits day 28. And now Trump warned SNAP benefits will end. Now you've got 25 states, including Arizona, California, and Massachusetts, sued the Trump administration on Tuesday for its refusal to fund SNAP during the shutdown. Now, they say that it's going to impact around 42 million recipients. So 42 million people in America. What percent is that? 42 million. What percent of the nation is that? 42, 80, 460. Okay, let's see. 42 times 5 is what? 200 something. 42 times 7. It's like 1/8 of the country, about 12%. Is that the best guess? 42 million times 8. 4 times 8, 320 million. Okay. So you got that serious issue. It's a massive number. But these states want to sue the general government. They want to sue President Trump. Well, Congress has the government shut down, not Donald. Congress, the House and the Senate are the ones refusing to come to the table. They could fund the air traffic controllers as a single bill. They could fund SNAP as a single bill. The bill could read like this. We're going to fund SNAP temporarily while Christians get off their derrieres and, take care of their first responsibility to love God and love their fellow men and look after their neighbor. I mean, you are your brother's keeper, right? Okay, so in the meantime, we're going to fund this. We're not going to get a lawsuit. What's a lawsuit and a shutdown going to do? We're going to spend so much money not even helping anybody with the lawsuits and the government shutdowns and the this and the that and the whatever. It's disaster. The lawsuit, they say, was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, and it seeks to, quote, compel the administration to use what they call contingency funds to continue SNAP benefits starting November the 1st. Approximately $5 to $6 billion is estimated to be available in reserves right now. That number's staggering. That number's huge. I thought the government was broke. How do they have $5-6 billion in reserve after the government shut down for 28 days? They can still whip out $5-6 billion at a blip? They've got too much of my money, I'll tell you that right now. The states involved in the lawsuit are led by a mix of Democratic attorneys generals and governors from Colorado, Maine, Illinois, Kentucky, North Carolina, several others. The Agriculture Department previously stated that it could, quote, reprogram money to prevent benefit cuts. But then they decided, no, these contingency funds aren't legally available during a shutdown. So now you're getting caught in the quagmire of lawfare. The administration's decision not to fund SNAP has raised concerns regarding financial hardships for both recipients and merchants who accept SNAP. Now, I want to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen, because to me this is huge. This is a disaster, but it doesn't have to be. So I don't know where these 25 states suing the federal government get their logic. They pretend that somehow the federal government owes the states money or that the states have a right to receive these fundings. That is as wrong-headed as you could possibly get. The general government has no mandate, no authority, no support, no delegation, no primary responsibility anywhere in the Constitution to send money back to each state to pay for food for the state's citizens. Remember, the general government has a responsibility to guarantee a Republican form of government to each of the states. That's why we have 50 constitutional republics bound together in the United States of America. The general government has responsibilities to foreign affairs as the states have responsibilities to local and internal affairs. The general government has a welfare clause, but it's the general welfare. It doesn't mean food assistance and literal welfare like we think of welfare today. The general welfare means safety and stability for the American people, protection from foreign invasions like at the border, and a level playing field to where you can trade, buy, and sell across state lines. And so the general welfare clause had to do with stability in the marketplace, had to do with generally blessing everyone with protection from enemies, foreign and domestic, with a level playing field so commerce can freely flow between states, that there wouldn't be barriers, impediments, tariffs, embargoes, lockdowns, shutouts, all that, okay? That wouldn't happen. So the general welfare clause, don't let it be manipulated into some false idea that you think it means we're going to just give everybody a colored TV in their living room and plenty of food. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the plight of the folks that need SNAP is serious, and I don't mean to minimize or make fun of it in any way. I personally have people that I know well who need SNAP, who need food assistance, and my prayers are with them. But we can, if we're true Christians, bear one another's burdens. We can turn to God Almighty in humble prayer and beseech Him for answers and solutions and guidance. Yeah, and He can send to us revelatory guidance of what we should do. And I'm telling you, the answer is in the two great commandments. Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength. And do so by trusting in him, turning to him for guidance, repenting before him and saying, I would love your blessings and protection and guidance. And then we can look at our neighbors. Our neighbors might be right next door on your block, but your neighbor also might live in Jamaica, or your neighbor might be in a different state, one that's right now. Instead of trying to find out how they can internally take care of their own problems, they're looking to the general government with lawsuits, wasting money to attorneys on lawfare. Is that what we ought to be doing? Is suing one another? So the general government's in a fight with 25 states, and then the lawyers get all the money and the people still suffer and starve? I think when the government shutdown hits day 28, it shows how broken government is. So if you think government can stay closed for 28 days, battling over, in my opinion, clown show stuff, and you expect the government to take care of your food, what happens when the next shutdown occurs? What happens when the more lawsuits? See, this circle of, let me say this, circling the drain financially, and this circle of abuse to one another is the first thing that needs to stop. The first thing we need to do, in my humble opinion, is turn to God Almighty. The second thing we need to do is say, what do I need to do as a Christian? I may not be able to solve all the world's hunger problems. I'm just Sam Bushman. I'm just one guy, right? But I'm telling you that the power of one cannot be underestimated. And the power of one who kneels before God in prayer and then gets up and goes to work to do something about it, trust in God as if it's up to him, and then go to work and do your best as if it's up to you. Hey, how many starving people are in America? I said 42 million people are going to suffer if SNAP ends by November the 1st. Well, how many people does that leave per the 42 million? I said it was about 1/8, right? So you've got 7 other people that are not in poverty that don't need SNAP that could help the people who need it. Neighbors, helping neighbors, churches, nonprofits, food kitchens, food pantries. There's so many non-governmental organizations, NGOs. The help can come from everywhere. And if we're truly Christians, if we're truly a Christian nation as we claim, and I believe we are, it's time to step up. It's time for the state of California, right? It's time for Massachusetts to say, hey, we need to solve our own problems. We don't need to rely on the federal government for this. Why does it make any sense to send all your money to the feds and then have it come back to you, back to your state? What these, in my opinion, states need to do is say to the general government, if you're closed down, then we're not going to fund you anymore. So the states need to start not sending money to the feds. Why don't they keep it in their state? Why don't they keep it in their cities and in their counties? Why don't they keep the money locally and not send it to the Fed? And the answer is because many of them are on the dole. Many of them have taken so many stick and carrot scenarios when it comes to funding that they're over a barrel, strings attached. They should have never taken it in the first place. So the answer is not to look for more government, my fellow Americans. The answer is to look for less government. And the answer is to look for government closer to the people. And the answer is to say, hey, when do we need government really to help because it's something we can't do for ourselves? That's when we need government. Government has a proper limited role. It's not to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked. That's for the Christians. Stand up, my fellow Americans. Become part of the solution today. Tell government to fly a kite. They're dead broke, $38 trillion in debt. Let's take care of it ourselves and take care of our neighbors. And let's turn to God Almighty and seek for his blessings and show him we're serious by our own humble, kind actions. Let's become disciples once again, shall we? Of the Savior Jesus Christ. I'm Sam Bushman. More in seconds. You're watching and listening to Loving Liberty Networks. Liberty Roundtable Live at lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love. Back in seconds.
Proclaiming liberty across the land. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It is final stop on his week-long Asia tour.
It's a great honor to be here. Incredible people, incredible country.
President Trump in South Korea.
World leaders are gathering in South Korea's ancient capital this week, and U.S. President Donald Trump is one of the first to arrive. On his way from Japan, he said he is optimistic about his meeting with the Chinese leader, Xi Jinping. Before then, he will speak to prominent industry leaders, including the CEO of NVIDIA and Samsung, and later sit down with South Korea's president, Lee Jae-myung.
The BBC's Jay Kwan says the president has announced a trade deal with South Korea. House Republicans are out with a troubling report on former President Biden's cognitive health and its impact on his performance in office.
The long-promised report issues a scathing critique of Joe Biden's inner circle, accusing a cover-up of the former president's mental condition and misuse of the auto pen. Even though the report includes no specific instances of illegal activity, Republicans said their findings cast doubt on all of Joe Biden's actions in office, and they're urging the Justice Department to conduct a full investigation. Biden has denied that he was unaware of his administration's actions. Greg Clugston, Washington.
After making landfall earlier today in the east, Hurricane Melissa is now pounding western Cuba, roaring ashore as a Category 3 storm after pummeling Jamaica as one of the strongest Atlantic hurricanes on record. The hurricane, now a Category 2 storm, is blamed for 7 deaths in the Caribbean. World Series tied up at 2 games apiece after the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers 6-2 last night in Game 4. The government shutdown rolls on today, day 29. On Wall Street, stocks are sharply higher. The Dow's up 293 points, Nasdaq ahead 159. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, host of The Mike Gallagher Show. I don't mess around when it comes to saving you money. Right now, rates have dropped to the lowest level in over a year and a half. That means if you bought your home or refinanced in the last 3 years, you could be saving hundreds of dollars every month. Lower your rate, lower your monthly payment, even kick that pesky PMI to the curb. And get this, you can skip 2 full months of mortgage payments. But that's not all. Fellowship Home Loans just rolled out something incredible. Their very own HELOC and lines of credit. Approval in just 5 minutes. Money in your account in as little as 4 days. It's the easiest system you've ever used. You can do it yourself online. Whether you want to pay off bills, tackle a home project, cover education, or even a wedding, Fellowship Home Loans makes it simple to leverage the money that's already sitting in your house. Just go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/MikeG, fellowshiphomeloans.com/MikeG, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending guided by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
Cybercrime is exploding. Take Sarah from Sweet Delights, whose world crumbled after having to close with not being able to bounce back. Small businesses are prime targets, but the right strategies can keep yours safe. Jay Hill, CEO of Network Providers, has co-authored The Cyber Playbook Simplifies Cybersecurity for Business Owners with Strategies to avoid costly breaches and fines. Build a strong cyber attack response. Secure your business with key protections. Cyber threats aren't slowing down, but you can stay ahead. Protect your business. Ensure its security for tomorrow. Get the Cyber Playbook today at networkprovidersinc.com/cyber-playbook or call 385-446-5500 now.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. I'm full of incredible news the networks refuse to use today, that's for sure. I'm praying for those folks in Jamaica. And I'm also praying for the folks that might suffer if food stamps or SNAP goes away or gets suspended. But I know we as Christians can take care of business. We can truly help them. And that's what we need to be focusing on. The states ought to focus on how they can take care of business. The state of California literally has 40 million people in it. Wow, if there's 42 million people on SNAP and they all give $1 a day, how much difference would that make? See, we can have charity in our hearts, folks, and back it up with action. And that's what I am calling for. The bleeding heart liberals will say that I'm just crazy. But the fact is, I care more than they do. I'm trying to find sustainable ways that by kindness and charity and love can we do our work, receiving the blessings of the Almighty in the process. Anyway, there you have it. There's another lawsuit that you need to know about. Ken Paxton. He's the Attorney General of the great state of Texas. And he filed a lawsuit against Johnson & Johnson and its, quote, spin-off company, Kenvue, Kenvue. Anyway, alleging failure to warn consumers about the risks of taking Tylenol while pregnant. And I think that's a really important point. And whether you're for the lawsuit or not, whether you think it's true or not, you got women all over the place running around popping Tylenol, making fun of Donald Trump and RFK Jr. and now Ken Paxton for saying there's something to this. And I'm really concerned about the women running around popping Tylenol while they're pregnant. That's, in my opinion, very foolish. Just my opinion. But I look at this and I go, okay, is this about autism? The suit claims the company is ignoring science, linking the drug to autism and ADHD, and accuses Johnson & Johnson of literally covering up, illegally transferring liability to this Kenvue company to protect their assets. Now, here's the problem. I don't know the truth. I don't know what Kenvue knows, and I don't know what Johnson & Johnson knows. They say the lawsuit follows Donald Trump's remarks in a news conference cautioning against the use of Tylenol during pregnancy because of the documented risks. Kenvue, of course, refutes the claims, asserting the safety of Tylenol, and they use the, quote, what do you want to call it, the official name or whatever you want to call it. They say, which is endorsed by health experts despite mixed research findings. The U.S. FDA is considering warnings about usage on labels. Now, I bring this up because I think that we need to ask ourselves. This is the example where I don't pick people. Okay? I'm not here to attack Ken Paxton, and I'm not here to back Ken Paxton. I'm not here to attack President Trump or RFK Jr. or defend them. But I will defend the principle. And the principle is several levels deep. Think about number one. The principle is more knowledge, more research, greater understanding is a good thing. Let's never shut that down. Number two, if an allegation is made, in other words, if there's probable cause or greater, then it's time to say we need to learn more. We need to dig in. If you bring something to a sheriff, say, we need you to investigate this, sheriff. We need you to arrest these people. The sheriff's going to say, fine, show me what you've got. If there's probable cause enough, he'll start an investigation of his own. At least he's supposed to. Well, why don't we do the same thing when it comes to medicine and big pharma? Okay, I don't want to take big pharma's side. I don't want to take anybody's side. I don't want to take Donald Trump or Ken Paxton or RFK's side or anything else. But when they're saying, hey, we're going to file a lawsuit against Johnson & Johnson and against this Kenvue company, and the assertion is Kenvue was created just to protect Johnson & Johnson's assets, and the suit claims the company has ignored science linking the drug to autism and ADHD, Well, then I want proof. So let's not barbecue Johnson & Johnson in the court of public opinion. Let's not pick sides and play games. Let's say, where is the evidence? Okay. Now they say they illegally transferred liability to Kenvue. All right. So now you've got a lot of allegations here. You've got to say what science shows that Tylenol can increase risk for autism in pregnant women and can be responsible for or linked to ADHD in children. I want the proof. I want the evidence. And if there's a illegal transfer of responsibility or illegally transferring liability, for example, show me the proof that they illegally transferred liability. What does the law say? So this is a very incendiary topic in the sense that people pick sides and just riot and go crazy and want to attack one another. Why don't we all just step back and say, look, if there's probable cause, let's investigate. If there's evidence in a lawsuit, let's see the evidence. And one of the things that I believe needs to happen the most is this. Attacking a company like Johnson & Johnson in the court of public opinion like this is not good. The so-called medical experts are saying, hey, there's nothing to it. Trump and Bobby Kennedy and all these guys are crazy. And the medical establishment doubles down and says Tylenol's fine. Meanwhile, now they've created this mistrust in society where every time I take Tylenol now, or anytime anybody takes it that I know, I'm going to be thinking, yeah, is it going to cause autism? Is it going to be linked to ADHD and me or my children or whoever else? Is it always really through the female while she's pregnant? Or could it be that when males take Tylenol, it affects the baby as well? I mean, you know, we don't know these things. But my whole point is, if you're going to drag the public into the court of public opinion on this thing, then you need to bring the court, the real court, not the court of public opinion, the real court where Ken Paxton filed his lawsuit. And we need to transparently bring that to the American people too, so that I can find out, hey, is it true that there's a risk of taking Tylenol while pregnant? And was that risk covered up by Johnson & Johnson? Did Johnson & Johnson illegally transfer liability for this to a different company so they can protect their assets if things go south? Do they know about this? And were they covering this up or ignoring this link? We need to know all those things. So to me, if you're going to bring the court of public opinion on the front end of the story, you need to bring it on the back end as well. And I'm saying, hey, I don't know what the truth is. My guess is Ken Paxton's right. My guess is Bobby Kennedy is correct. My guess is that Donald Trump is right on this. And rather than attacking the messengers, I think it's wise, prudent, in fact, necessary, to say, hey, I'm not here to pick sides. I'm just here to know the truth. And if it is dangerous, if there is a link or a connection, we need to debate how strong that link and connection is. Is it strong enough to say, let's just put warning labels on there like we do cigarettes? We know cigarettes cause cancer, right? What do we do about that? What do we do about that? Huh? What do we do? Do we just put a warning label on there like we do cigarettes and call it good? You can smoke if you want. You can take Tylenol if you want, but you've been warned? Or do we go so far as to take it off the market? Or do we go so far as to really warn women and create public service announcements saying, hey, don't take this while you're pregnant? What do we do about this? Is there a way to create a formulation that may not have those horrible effects? I don't know the answers to all the questions. I'm just telling you that we need to honestly think through this and not think of this as a way to fight or argue or attack one another. Why can't we just find the truth? Okay, did the company really ignore the science? Does the science show that? Well, experts are saying no, but maybe they've been deceived. Let's bring forth the evidence. Anyway, I don't want to go on about this forever, but I do think we need to think about this, whether it be vaccines, whether it be Tylenol. What about all the other medications people are on? They put people on statins for their heart issues and for their blood pressure and all this kind of stuff for decades, and then they came back and said, oh, statins really don't help much. Then they basically said to everybody, oh, you got to have all these different, whatever. If you're a woman, you got to have all these different. If you're a man, you got to have these colonoscopies. You got to have these mammograms. You got to have these pap smears, and and then they came back and said, oh, it's probably better if you don't. We used to recommend it like 40 and 50. Now, hey, you probably shouldn't do that till you're 60 or whatever, or 70, or maybe not at all. And so as the science changes, can we quit attacking the messengers and quit dividing over every topic under the sun? Can't we just please kindly say, hey, what are the facts? And let's make decisions as individuals, families, and ultimately society with the greatest knowledge we can find. How about that? I'm Sam Bushman.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Step into the boots of the American West with Range Magazine, where grit meets grace. This is a front row seat to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of ranchers, farmers, and stewards of the land. From jaw-dropping photography to no-nonsense reporting, Range brings you the untold tales of life on the range. Whether you're a city dweller with a cowboy's heart or living life where the pavement ends, Range speaks to the soul of the West. Subscribe today at rangemagazine.com.
I believe there will come a time when we are all judged on whether or not we took a stand in defense of all life from the moment of conception until our last natural breath. As a teenager, I gave my first public speech in my church. My hand shook, my heart pounded. I thought to myself, I can't do this, but somehow I did, and because I wanted to talk about things that were important, I persisted. I chided my church as a senior in high school for not seeming to care about the not yet born, for looking the other way, and for not taking a stand on life. I will be in earnest. I will not equivocate, and I will not excuse. I will not retreat an inch, and I will be heard. One thing I promise you, I will always take a stand for life.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about this. I don't know what you want to call it. It's a Donaldism. Is that a term we should start using? It's a Trumpism, people. Okay? We don't need to worry about this at all. But since everybody else is talking about it, I've got to address it. Now, Jon Stewart predicts President Trump will run for a third term in 2028. Now, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't think Trump will do it. Again, the Democrats have always put you in fear that Trump is going to just take over, that he's going to thunk down in a dictator mode and just jettison all the laws. And you've even had the conservatives going, yeah, Donald's going to get the military, and the military's all with him. They're going to bust out and start prosecuting people and throwing people in jail. This is the big old garbage that we heard from, what's that dumb thing called that everybody believes in or whatever? What's that called? Shoot, can't remember the name right now. Anyway, QAnon. That's what it's called, QAnon. Okay, everybody believes QAnon. Hey, the military's going to get with Trump, and they're going to take over the government. They're going to clean house and get rid of all the bad guys and suspend the Constitution, and then they're going to bring back the Constitution. I reject that a gazillion %. Psychotic. Not going to happen, should never happen. You never trust in concentrating power in the few in hopes that they'll do what's right with it. That's foolish. It's contrary to the constitutional republic form of government and the checks and balances and the decentralization that the 50 constitutional republics afford us. Don't even think about it. It's insane. And this idea, Jon Stewart predicting that Trump will run for a third term in 2028, it isn't going to happen, folks. Mike Johnson's shutting that language or idea down. Donald Trump's flirting with it because, listen carefully, Donald Trump my fellow Americans, is flirting with these ideas because he loves to control the narrative, and he loves to peddle distraction. Why? Because the Democrats, the liberals, the whoever, Trump, anti-Trumpers, never-Trumpers, Trump derangement syndrome people, whatever you want to call any of these people, and I don't like all those labels, by the way, but I don't know how else to refer to it. But these people lose their minds. Okay, they absolutely lose their minds. And every time Trump throws out something crazy, psychotic, over the top, extreme, then they just lose everything. They don't focus on anything else. They get completely distracted. I mean, it's almost comical of what happens. It's not too comical because it's serious. But I say it's almost comical because, are you kidding me? I mean, Trump could say things like, I'm going to stand on my head in the Oval Office until the government shutdown ends. And they would think he's serious. They would think, oh my gosh, Trump's going to stand on his head. Scientists are going to come out and tell you that's bad for your brain to be upside down for so long. And someone is going to say, Melania, go talk to your husband. He's crazy. He's going to be upside down until the shutdown ends. Okay, some of them would celebrate. They'd be like, good, maybe some blood will rush to his head and he can come to his senses. And others will be like, okay, but why would we even talk about these distractions? Trump can't run for a third term in 2028. It's flat out unconstitutional. You could say, well, Sam, there's ways. So Josh Phillip just emailed away. There's ways, Sam, you could do. Not without absolutely jetting historical precedent, not without jettisoning constitutional provisions. Okay, we don't need Trump to serve a third term. Oh, Sam, yes, we do. He's the only guy. He's the only one that has been able to just take on the bad guys. He's the only one to bring common sense to the table. He's the only one that has the mojo to stand up, the charisma. Folks, do you want to believe in a king? Are you all about promoting a monarch? Are you all about telling me that there's somebody greater than Jesus Christ? I'm not accepting that or buying that viewpoint at all. I reject it. There's only one king. It's King Jesus, and he's the king of the free world. And he should be the king of America. And we're waiting for our king to return. In the meantime, our founding fathers loved the king, the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. But they understood that until he comes, we can't have a man be a king. He'll absolutely get drunk with power. He'll run everything off the rails with rare exception. And even if we have a king and there's an exception, we have a good king for a while, what happens when he dies and you get another king? Then the other king will go crazy and psychotic and just ruin everything. Monarchs and kings are not the answer. The founding fathers knew it, understood it, and did everything within their power to set up a proper role of limited government, a decentralized government, the sharing of power, not seeking to gain power, but seeking to pull it down. These are the checks and balances, the divisions. They put those in place because they knew that somebody would try to get too powerful. They knew that either an individual or a gaggle of people would try to get together and subvert the system, rig the system, gain the system for greed and power and money. They knew it, and they put everything in place that they possibly could to stop it. And then they said this: what kind of government do you have? You have a constitutional republic if you can keep it. What does that mean? It means that we need to be vigilant. We need to be ever anxiously engaged in a good cause. We need to be politically savvy. We don't have to know all the legal rules of everything. It was created for the average farmer. But we need to be cognizant of what we're talking about. You can't vote largesse from the Treasury or largesse from the Treasury. You can't do that. Okay, but we've been doing it. That's why we have SNAP in the first place. We've simply said, hey, we're going to steal from Sam to give to the poor. No, wrong answer. It's not what we believe in America. It's not what we support. So, I don't think Trump will run for the next term. And if he does, we should shut him down. We should simply say, no, Donald, that's not acceptable. And you say, well, who will fill his place? Who can be a Donald Trump on the national stage? Who can? I don't know the answer to that. But I will make you a promise. You ready for my promise? Here's my promise. if we turn to God Almighty as a people, we jettison partisan politics, and we find a good, honest, wise servant. That's right, a statesman, to lead the charge. Not putting our faith in that statesman, but putting faith in the principles that statesman is willing to embrace. Right? No pay-to-play schemes. No go into Congress or go into the presidency poor as a church mouse and coming out rich. None of those kind of things. Somebody who will truly bring God, family, and country back to our constitutional republic. Somebody who will respect and honor the checks and balances. Somebody who will carry out their oath of office with diligence and humility. Someone who will say, whoa, I know you want me to do that, but I can't. I'm only the president. I have limited authority and power, and here's my list of what I have been given delegated authority to do. What you want needs to be done by Congress, or what you want needs to be done by the courts, or what the three branches of government at the general level, or maybe what you want needs to be done at the state level, not the general government level in the first place. I'm your president. That means I'm your servant. That means I've been given a delegated responsibility, a list, an enumerated list of what I'm supposed to be focused on and doing for the people. And when you want me to do things outside of that list, you're really asking for me to break my constitutional oath, which I refuse to do. I want to point everybody to Christ. I want to point everybody to the proper, God-ordained, traditional family. Now, if you don't have that family, I don't want you to feel bad or think that I hate you. That's not true. I would like you to do your very best to cobble together a family of friends, loved ones, neighbors. We're all brothers and sisters if we're Christ. If we're for Christ, we're God's children, right? And as a result that we're God's children, if everybody's a brother and a sister, we need to look after one another. We can create families where, hey, they're not my blood brother, but he's a brother from another mother, or so on. We can have that view, and we ought to. So I'm not telling you that there's always perfect families, but when there's not perfect families, let's make up our own families. Let's have church congregational families. Let's have patriot kind of families, people that are members of, say, Charlie Kirk's organization, TPUSA. You can say, I got my little group in TPUSA, and we're a family, and we look after one another. If somebody's hungry amongst us, we take care of business. We clothe the naked. We feed the hungry. And why not jettison government, not think of them as the solutions for everything? And why don't we just say, we want the government to carry out its proper role when it's the courts? We don't want you to make law, but we want you to codify what the law is. If you're confused, court, then you need to toss it back to Congress and say, hey, we're confused too, Congress. You got to come back to the drawing board and redraw this because we don't know what's going on. Or if it's the president, he needs to say, hey, I appreciate that you want me to run a third term, but I'm not willing to do it because it's unconstitutional. And the president needs to say, hey, you know what? I think that we need to take out these speedboats. These speedboats that are bringing drugs into America, we've got to stop them. Congress, I look at my Supreme Law of the Land document here in my hand, and by golly, it's in your realm. I need you to set the stage so that I can act. I need you to help me. And so we need to start working together. And the biggest problem in America today is the divide and conquer tactic. It's been working for generations. It's of the devil, and it needs to stop. What we need to focus on is how to bring people together, how to forgive, how to follow science, how to tell the truth, how to obey the supreme law, and more. One person that's maybe coming to his senses is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. I'll tell you about it. Anyway, very interesting to say the least. I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Network, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and best of all, check out lovingliberty.net for incredible talk radio and now TV. All right. God save the Republic of the United States of America.